Well, since the 9/11 atrocities, the authorities in New York say they have disrupted more than a dozen terror plots in the state. But there are real fears here that Al-Qaeda could attempt another attack to coincide with the anniversary. Newsnight has been given rare access to the work of counter-terrorism teams here. But we've also been hearing about complaints from Muslim communities about aggressive tactics and allegations of entrapment and manufactured convictions. Here's Gordon Carrera.
New York on high alert. A city where the fear of attack, especially in the next few days, is real.
We're worried specifically about something happening on the anniversary of 9/11. New York is certainly at the top of the terrorist target list as far as this country is concerned.
New York is pioneering an aggressive, in-your-face counter-terrorism strategy, flooding the streets with armed cops and, controversially, putting informants undercover in communities. It's a strategy which has led to many arrests, but which critics say has gone too far, raising concerns over entrapment.
They were convicted, but it was entrapment. The government set it all up.
This is entrapment. When you're setting up your own American people, you didn't stumble upon a cell, you created a cell.
Times Square early morning. Police from across the city assemble. Squad cars from every precinct are given the signal to pull out. 3 times a day, dozens of New York City police cars surge across the city like this to key locations. It's a show of force designed to deter any terrorists thinking of attacking the city. The police are determined to avoid the mistakes made before 9/11, when the CIA failed to pass on intelligence which some believe may have thwarted the attacks.
Certainly helpful it was.
A new commissioner was appointed who was not prepared to leave the protection of New York to others. His focus is on gathering intelligence, carrying out surveillance, and being seen on the streets. His concern, based on intelligence captured from Osama bin Laden's compound, is of an imminent attack.
We're worried specifically about something happening on the anniversary of 9/11 because we saw in some of bin Laden's materials that there was discussion about the 10-year anniversary, 10-year memorial.
242nd Street, approaching the station.
The assertive police style is visible even underground, where heavily armed officers patrol. But there's also a less visible presence. Both the NYPD and the FBI use undercover officers and a network of informants. This has led to growing criticism that they're spying on Muslims and even manufacturing convictions. Newburgh, 60 miles north of Manhattan, a rundown town in upstate New York. Here, the authorities say they disrupted a major plot involving a group of local men. A hidden surveillance camera catches them inspecting a surface-to-air missile at a lockup. Another camera listens in as they talk about mounting a series of attacks.
We are going to blow up the planes first, and then we are going to blow up the synagogues.
The first target was to be this airbase used by military aircraft. The men wanted to hit it with a surface-to-air missile. They also placed what they believed were C4 explosives at synagogues in New York City. For the authorities, this was a deadly terrorist plot stopped in its tracks. But for some here in the community, it was something entirely different. They question whether the men would really have been capable of planning and carrying out an attack if it weren't for the encouragement of an undercover informant working secretly for the FBI. For the critics, this was a classic case of entrapment.
They were convicted, but it was entrapment. The government set it all up.
An informant posing as a rich businessman first appeared at this mosque in Newburgh and immediately raised concerns among worshippers.
He began to talk to some of the members of the community, and they would come back and say, this guy is talking about jihad, this, that, and the other, and so we automatically believed that he was a federal agent. And we decided to just let people in the community know to be careful of this guy, watch what you say.
The informant latched onto the man seen on the left. James Cromarty, an angry convert to Islam, full of hatred for Jews and the country in which he'd always lived.
I am an American soldier. I am a soldier right here in America that the president don't even know about me.
At the mosque, Cromarty wasn't taken seriously.
He really wanted to make some money, you know, and I think that's what really captivated him and the others. It was just a money thing.
Oh, matter of fact, it's under the rug.
The informant, whose face has been disguised by the authorities in this video, offered Cromarty $250,000 to carry out the attacks. With the promise of money, it wasn't difficult for Cromarty to find men in Newburgh prepared to help. Recruited late in the plot, they would be the lookouts.
God bless you. You know, that's my family.
One of them was David Williams. His aunt says he was especially vulnerable. A petty drug dealer not long out of prison, with a brother in need of expensive medical treatment.
These guys ain't got a passport, ain't got a driver's license, ain't got a pot to piss in and throw it out. They ain't got no money. Where you gonna find C4 in the hood? You gonna go to the 99-cent store?
The informant, who told the men he had links to a terror group in Pakistan, supplied what the men thought were C4 explosives. The authorities insist they follow careful rules when running sting operations like this.
Everything we do from there is carefully crafted to ensure that we are not the ones encouraging the plot. All we are doing is providing the means to do that in a controlled way that prevents the act of terrorism from actually happening.
But Alicia McWilliams believes the whole operation was built on a tissue of lies.
You didn't stumble upon a cell, you created a cell because it's your bombs. It's your C4. They ain't got no money.
The tactics used here are not unusual. Reportedly, there have been over 200 successful terrorism prosecutions involving informants in America since 9/11. The US Attorney General told me such methods are justified.
There have been claims that there's been cases of near entrapment in terms of the use of informers against some of these homegrown cells.
Well, yeah, those charges have been made, but I'm really confident that we have conducted ourselves consistent with the law, always giving people who we have come in contact with an opportunity to not go down that road. They're always given the option to say, you know, I've just changed my mind, I don't want to engage in this terrorist act. And what we have seen with those cases that we have brought is that people have, of their own volition, made the determination that they wanted to commit a terrorist act.
That's actually where
But critics point to moments where the ringleader in the Newburgh case appeared to have doubts.
If this informant had not been involved in this case, I guarantee you, those four guys, if they were still together, would be on the avenue somewhere or on the block somewhere, smoking marijuana, drinking beer, and barbecuing. That's what they would be doing. That's what they would be doing. They would have run-of-the-mill type.
That's a view rejected by the authorities, who arrested the men after they'd planted the fake bombs, and the trial jury who convicted them. 3 were sentenced to 25 years in jail, although the judge conceded aspects of the case were troubling.
That's the George Washington Bridge. Very, very famous, very, very critical. It's always a potential target for terrorism.
Despite the growing criticism, New York's authorities believe their tactics work and are vital so long as the city remains top of the terrorist target list.
There's no question about it that New York is safer than it was 10 years ago, but there are no guarantees. We don't know what we don't know, and we are doing everything that I believe we can do to protect the city, but it's a dangerous world.
The attacks a decade ago traumatized New York. And those in charge of preventing a return to ground zero do not want to be accused of not doing enough, however controversial some of their measures might be.
Gordon Carrera reporting. Well, that's all from us in New York for tonight, but join us here tomorrow for our special edition of Newsnight to coincide with the anniversary. We'll be hearing from Donald Rumsfeld, George Bush's point man, he of the now famous known unknown, and we'll be discussing the way that 9/11 changed America with Carl Bernstein, Christiane Alamapur, Fran Lebowitz and Suzanne Vega. Join us then. Gavin.